Hey everybody, it's Justice for Comics. It's Saturday morning, actually Sunday morning, Sunday morning. Um, didn't get time yesterday to highlight the CBSI Hot 10 list, but I got a little time here this morning. I'll be running out and doing some errands later today. So I figured this would be a good time to do this video. I know most of you will watch it in replay. So let's dive into it here. This list comes out every Friday on comicbookinvest.com, CBSI's Hot 10 list. It's a decent list. It used to be captained by our good friend Ben Stein. No longer. It's Peter. Now Peter is running the show. I don't know Peter's last name, but I'll say his last name is Pumpkin Eater since we're in the month of October. Pumpkins are the theme. So Peter Pumpkin Eater is the editor of this week's list. Let's take a look at it. We'll start off with honorable mentions first. And a couple of interesting books here. So first off, we've got Mystery Men Comics #1. Looks like a CGC 5.5 sold this week for $24,000. I guess it's the Golden Age first appearance of the original Blue Beetle. Not that that movie did very well. I think it's a different Blue Beetle anyways. Certainly not the same character, but basically the same name. But this is a Golden Age classic that obviously if you're collecting Golden Age, this might be on your hit list. I can't afford Golden Age. I can barely afford Copper or Bronze Age at this point. So, I don't know who's buying these books. Wealthy people, hedge funds, who the heck knows? I have a feeling hedge funds are buying comic books these days. I don't know, especially the real expensive ones. You know, what are they doing with their money? They got to do something, right? Stock market's volatile. Why not buy old comic books? They tend to do well, provide a good return over time, and they're not making any more of them, right? You're not going to find too many of these books out in the wild. Most of them are graded these days. Even at low grade, these go for pretty good money. It looks like a restored 6.0 sold for $6,600 back in December. Back in 2017, a 9.0 sold for $41,000. Wow. So imagine what that's got to be worth. If a 5.5 sold for $24,000, a 9.0, that's got to be well over $100,000 for that book now. Amazing. Cool cover. Looks violent. 10 center. It's a nice looking book. The other one here is Spawn number 185. This is a 9.6. This is the black and white sketch version. Very limited, very, very low print run. Tough to find this book. It's been reprinted a few times. I think I have the Spanish version of this, the La Mole. I think it's a La Mole variant, maybe. I think I have a reprint of this, but the original, definitely a big grail for a lot of Spawn collectors, hardcore Spawn collectors. 9.6 just sold at auction for $17,100. Holy crap. 64 bids too. So there were a lot of people chasing this book. Yeah, what can you imagine what a 9.8 would go for? So can you imagine if you found that in your collection? What a prize that would be. So yeah, just a cool looking book. I've got one of the issues from that era, that in-game series. I can't remember if it was 185. It's the regular cover though, which still goes for like $100. But yeah, the black and white one, much more limited, and goes for huge money. And there's a lot of Spawn collectors that would love to have that book in their collection. All right, those are your honorable mentions. Let's look at the list here. We'll start off with number 10 on the list, Amazing Spider-Man number 601. This is a reprinted foil edition, New York Comic Con variant. I was able to grab one for like $50 right before the con started. One of the websites had it for sale. for $50 or $60. I think it might have been 50. Maybe with shipping it was 60. And it's definitely going for more than that now. I've seen prices in the 130 to 180 range. There might have been a raw sale around 200. That would be the height of it. But um, yeah, this is kind of one of those books where it might be a good flip opportunity. I have mine posted on eBay for certainly more than double what I paid for it. It hasn't sold yet, so I don't know. Maybe I'm holding a dud. Peter writes here, remember all those Batman 423 foils that they did for the first print? Um, well, we are getting a foil J. Scott Campbell for this classic MJ cover, and people are going back to the original with over a dozen sales last week. Okay, so the original book is selling around $200. The reprint, I think, is going between 100 to 150 in that range, um, which is more than what I paid. I think if you were early in on this book, you could have got it for $50. Now it's going for at least double that, and it is giving attention to the original. I'm not a big J. Scott Campbell art fan. His art doesn't really do anything for me, but I know that there are a lot of people out there that are. So it's just one of those books that might be a good flip, especially on that New York Comic Con foil variant. Um, but I certainly wouldn't spend big money for the original. It's just not a book that's ever going to be on my radar. Number 9 is Thrawn. Number 6. If you've been watching the Ahsoka series on Disney Plus, the season just ended. It was okay. I think a couple of the scenes with Thrawn were interesting. He looks like he could be a good character, although I don't know what he's going to do other than what he's a strategist. He doesn't have any powers. He certainly would go down very easily against a Jedi. I don't know. This issue is the first meeting of Thrawn and Vader. Apparently, Vader and Thrawn had interactions with each other, and they might be bringing that out in the next season. There, you could see an appearance of Darth Vader and Thrawn. I don't know. Maybe like a flashback, perhaps. I'm not too sure how they're going to do that, but hey, it's giving what's his name, the actor, some work for doing. He's doing all the Darth Vader scenes, so and the Anakin scenes. What's that actor's name? I can't remember him. Oh, Hayden Christensen. Yeah, Hayden Christensen is getting some work, so I'm happy for him. I don't think he's done a whole lot over the last few years as far as getting acting work. So, hey, he's making some money. Good for him. He still looks good too. He's a good-looking guy. He's kept his looks, kept his hair. Those are tough things to do as you get older. But yeah, it's a cool-looking cover, and Thrawn continues to be popular. Selling around $30. Complete sets are going for about 120 for issues 1 through 6. Number 8 is Void Rivals number 4. This is the 1 in 25 spoiler variant. But 30 plus sales this past week. So it's definitely one of the higher moving books on eBay. Price range $50 to $60, so more than double ratio. I'm not collecting the series. I don't know. It's a cool looking cover. And if you're a huge Transformers fan, this is definitely something you want to pick up. I had the first appearance of I got Transformers number 1. I think I got 1 through 5, the first 5 issues, and a couple other keys. But that's where I'm putting my money. I'd rather put my money towards the older key books, first appearance of different characters in the Transformer universe, rather than sinking a bunch of money into this new version. Number 7 on the list is Ranger Stranger, number 1 from Scout Comics. 20 sales or so this week following the announcement that Kevin Hart is going to produce this as an animated series. Multiple covers, including store and convention exclusives, but the regular cover A has been selling mostly between $5 to $10 with a high of $15 so far. So there you go. This might be the first Scout book that's been turned into something. I know there's been all kinds of rumors of, oh, this is getting optioned, this is going to be a movie, this is going to be a TV series. I've seen none of it. I've seen none of it transpire. I've never seen any of it happen. But maybe Scout finally has a book that is going to turn into something. Kevin Hart, he's got lots of money, lots of influence, so maybe that will be one that will finally do well. I have done terrible on Scout books in the past, so I've got a bunch of them like in my collection. I don't think I have this one. Probably came out after I decided not to put any more money into the Scout books, but yeah, for those that own it, I hope it does well, and I hope it continues to go up. Number 6 on the list is Superman for All Seasons. This was on last week's list. James Gunn is potentially going to put this in on a live action. They've got a new Superman picked out. It kind of looks like a younger Henry Cavill. It kind of looks like him. Very similar look to him that Henry Cavill had. And I'm kind of glad Henry Cavill has moved on. I think he's going to do better things. I like that he's going to be in Highlander. He's going to potentially be in a Warhammer series, bringing that to life, which would be interesting. He also might be the next 007. That's still, although I think it probably won't be. He won't be the next 007 because Nolan is a big Tom Hardy fan, so I could see him probably having Tom Hardy play the character. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Number 5 on the list is Department of Truth number 1. This book is finally getting a little bit of action. Glad to see it's on the list. It's a good series. James Tynion, if you love conspiracy theories and X-File type of material, this is a good book for you to pick up. I think that's the regular A cover. There's also there's different covers for this issue number 1. There's homage covers. There's just a bunch of them. I think I have the regular A cover. There's also a Lee Harvey Oswald cover that I think people like to chase down, but that is selling in the $10 to $20 range, high of $40, and 9/8 are $60 to $80. Number 4 on the list is Spawn number 1. It's on the list a bunch of times. Probably every 2 or 3 months it ends up showing up on the list. This is because Call of Duty is featuring Spawn skins on their game, and it's getting renewed interest. There's also continued talks about a Spawn movie at some point. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I've been hearing that for years. But $30 raw book. It's been $30 to $40 forever, and 9/8 are around $150. Remember, that's a 2 million print run on that book, so there's lots of copies out there. Number 3 is Transformers number 1. This is the spoiler 1 in 100 variant. I think it's finally selling at like 125 to 175 range. I saw it for $100 at a lot of different sites. It seems to be more plentiful than you would think for a 1 in 100. There were a lot of shops that went heavy on Transformers, so I'd be very, very careful paying top dollar for this book. If you could get it closer to 100, that's where I would pick it up. I would not be paying 150 to 175. There's just too many retailers that went heavy on Transformers, so I'd be very, very cautious about dumping a bunch of money into that book. Number 2 is a book that's been on here for 3 weeks now, 3 or 4 weeks. X-Men number 130, first appearance of Dazzler. Deadpool 3, I think that movie's coming out early next year. And of course, Taylor Swift is rumored to be in the movie. I definitely think that's going to happen. You'd be crazy not to have one of the most popular recording artists in a movie. It's going to add a lot of power behind the ticket sales. I mean, think of all her Swiftie fans, my daughter being one of them. They're an army of very loyal fans. So if she's in this movie is going to be a multi-billion-dollar movie. Ryan Reynolds is going to make even more money because remember, he gets royalties and ownership percentage of the gross receipts. So that's a deal he worked out on that Deadpool. So yeah, he's. It wouldn't surprise me if the end of next year, if Ryan Reynolds is a billionaire, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Number one on the list is a book I've talked about. I highlighted it last week. I talked about it on my new comic book video show. I posted on Instagram about it. If you follow me on Instagram, Birds of Prey #2. This is the 1 in 50. Something about characters blowing bubblegum. They're hot covers. Otto Schmidt's always been a good artist. I've always thought he was pretty good, but this is definitely an iconic cover where I think people are going to always be looking for this book. It's not an easy book to find. Birds of Prey is a series that I'm sure the writing on it's not that great. Kelly Thompson, I'm not a big fan of her writing. Just most shops are not going to order 20 copies, let alone 50. So this is going to be a tough book to find. Prior to this book being hot, I bought a couple copies around that $60, $65 range. It was not easy to do. I had to really search for it, but I was able to get 2 copies for about $60 to $65. Sold one of them for over 200. So basically, the copy I'm keeping, I got for free because that's the way I look at it. If I make enough profit on one of them, it pays for the other one that I'm keeping. So I am keeping one of these in my collection. I just think it's going to be one of those books that 5 years from now, people are still going to be wanting to buy and willing to pay decent money for. Now, I don't think a high of 275 is too justifiable, but I think it could easily still stay at that $100 to $125 range pretty easily. But yeah, 275 seems a little crazy. Probably a little bit of FOMO went on there. Unfortunately, that wasn't me that sold it at 275. I sold mine a little over 200. One of my copies, but I'm happy with the sale. It definitely paid for the other copy that I'm keeping. So it's always one of the goals. If I really feel like a book's going to be hot, I try to get a couple copies and sell one to pay for the other one that I'm going to maintain in the collection. So there you go. There's your list. It's a good list. I like it. I've got several of these books in my collection on the list. I got probably 6 of the top 10. Maybe 5 of the top 10 in my collection. Not bad. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is a good list? Leave a comment. I know most of you are going to watch this in a replay. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. Next week, I'll be doing the new Comic Book Day show on Wednesday and a live stream on Thursday evening. So stay tuned for that. And I will be continuing to post on Instagram. I just posted something this morning on a book I just got in the mail. So check that out. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and on my YouTube channel. Like and share the video. That helps promote my channel and keeps me in the algorithm feed. All right, guys. Have a great Sunday, and I'll see you soon.